subscribers, good afternoon. Welcome to Chapter 8. Chapter 8 centers on Pastor Chineke Chiamaka, therefore I'll call it Pastor Chineke Chiamaka. I'll use 2 episodes to analyze Chapter 8. The first one is reckless driving, the second one is preaching. Reckless driving. Through a flashback, the chapter introduces a reckless driver, Pastor Chineke Chiamaka. Most people hated him for reckless driving, except his brother Obina, an evening student at the University of Lagos. After dropping Obina, one evening he drives to his office at Ardmores Limited. In taking the route, he lands into trouble, that is Holy Cup. Every Friday evening, born-again Lagosians chocked full all routes to this destination. Pastor Chiamaka decides to drive against the flowing current of vehicles and rams into a mean machine, a fire engine, massive and unstoppable. Page 108. His Mercedes flew off the road and spun in the air several times before landing on the road again. He escapes without serious injuries. The fire engine was nowhere. Not a single motorist stops to check on him. That was the norm in Nigeria. Motorists never stopped at an accident scene on Nigerian highways. Due to the many miracles he had witnessed, he became a pastor or a preacher. That's on page 108. Our second episode is preaching. Pastor Chiamaka does not attend seminaries to become a preacher. He became a pastor differently. He began by nodding to express agreement to points made in church, and later by shaking hands with the preachers who made them. That's on page 109. Then he advanced to actual techniques, flourishes of speech, and rhythms of gesture. When he was convinced that he had the courage to face a congregation, lecture, and reprimand it, he plumed into preaching. That's on page 109. He started by preaching everywhere before acquiring his own church. One Sunday, he gave a very powerful preaching captioned, "God is watching you." The sermon was excellent, witty, and persuasive. Using an anecdote of a latecomer who picks a black plastic bag containing a cool $10 million, he moves his congregation. The following Sunday, his sermon was a bit combative. He preaches about the president making public a memo he had written to his staff about an ongoing problem. That's on page 114. He tells his congregation that Nigeria expects its president to find a solution, not to write a memo. He pulls out a photocopy of the president's memo, leaked out to him by a news reporter, then reads from it, quote, "My government advises its officers to treat recent events with caution," unquote. That's on page 115. He pounds the pulpit and tells his congregation that a government is supposed to take action, not to advise itself. Page 115. Riots have broken out and brought havoc to a region of their land. Only to blame for the chaos was a neighboring region. That's on page 115. In addition, fires have been consuming their cities, but the president has done nothing to stop them. Page 115. The president has called the fires recent events. The congregation realizes that the pastor is dragging it into politics. Afraid of the consequences, it followed him. It kept quiet. That's on page 115. The following Monday morning, the police picked him up, and for the next 2 weeks, he shared a rat-infested cell with smelly inmates. Luckily for him, rescue came soon. On Monday, early in the morning, at the beginning of the third week, his jailers set him free. However, that luck was not unlimited. The police banned him from preaching. That's on page 116. 2 years later, a deep voice called him. Listen to the news about Africa. Page 116. Good news for a change. The call was from AGDA, Agency for Governance and Development in Africa. It had come up with a fresh approach to Africa's development, PAD Alpha. At the heart of the project is the idea of mobilizing discontent with Africa in its present state into will to change it. That's on page 116. Pastor Chiamaka did not need to hear more. He signed on. Thank you.